Hello, everyone. Jackie Edwards here, coming to you live from my beautiful bedroom, where I pretty much always am when I come to you live, because that's where I do my living. And what's prompted me to talk about laziness today, because I'm feeling it really hard right now. So I titled this, Am I Lazy or Do I Deserve a Rest? Now, I'm going to say most of us have been taught that lazy is like one of the worst things that we can be. And I know this constantly goes through my head. And I'm constantly berating myself and calling myself lazy because there's all these things like I could and I should be doing, but I'm not doing all of them. So anytime I stop, anytime I take a rest, anytime I'm even like doing something, but I could be doing more, I call myself lazy. Again, I think that's just because, not think, I know one of the reasons is because we've been like socially and culturally ingrained to produce and to produce more and more and more and more. And it's like all the capitalism and the patriarchy, and it's all there to like control us and turn us into like little robots that produce all the goods and the wealth for the elite. And we basically been brainwashed to think that if we're not producing, we're not good enough. And and it even goes back to like all the religious movements and the Puritans who, like sloth and laziness is like a deadly sin, and idle hands are the devil's work, or all those other crazy sayings that basically if you stop and take a rest, if you're lazy, then the devil's going to get you and you're going to do all these bad things, and just craziness that's just been, again, just taught to us and taught to us for generations. So that's just firmly ingrained in our brains. Like that is just a strong belief that we've all got, at least over here in like Western culture, that we have to work hard. Otherwise, we have no value. If we're not producing, we're worthless. And you can see it really struggle as we get older, because we know someday we're not going to be able to produce at this high of a level. Like, we can't continue working hard forever. We burn ourselves out. And, people retire, and often that's it. Like, they have no purpose anymore because they're not producing for the world. So they have no purpose and they get depressed. It's like, oh my God, why should it be like that? Again, I'm here. So today, my plan for today was to let's kind of have a rest day. So I need to feed the animals. I had a call with my coach, and then I'm going to the spa this afternoon to enjoy myself, relax, all the nice spa things. Oh my God, I slept in this morning and basically berated myself the whole time for being lazy. So every time I woke up and was like, no, I'm still tired, I should sleep some more, my brain was like, you're so lazy, you should get up and do all the things and get to the spa. And I'm like, all I'm doing is going to the spa. Like, that's my only goal for today, is to go to the spa and relax. So why does it matter if I sleep in? If I stay in bed a little bit longer in the morning, when obviously my body needs the rest? Because if my body didn't need the rest and to sleep, like, I wouldn't be able to just shut my eyes and like instantly fall asleep. So obviously I'm tired. My body needs the rest. And the rest and the sleep is like when our body's regenerating and doing all of these things. But because my brain, all it knows is that, oh, you shouldn't be sleeping. When you're sleeping this late, it means you're lazy. When you're not producing and making things, that means you're lazy. And that means you're not worthy and you're not good enough. And it's like, of course, brain, of course you're telling me that. Because that's what we've been told. Not just I've been told, but my parents were told that, and my grandparents were told that, my great grandparents were told that for centuries. So, of course, my brain's like, yeah, you're lazy. You don't deserve to rest because you haven't produced enough. But what if we don't have to deserve having a rest? What if we don't have to do anything to be able to deserve to have a rest? If we need a rest, that means it's okay. It's allowed. It's our body's way of saying it's time. It's time to slow down. Our body needs to recover. Our body needs to do some of its whatever functions that it rebuilds and redoes while we sleep. Our brain needs to have the time to like process and decompress. We don't have to do anything to deserve a rest. Honestly, some of this stuff is just mind blowing that I've been learning. Honestly, I love learning and I'm a lifelong learner and I have so many amazing mentors, which is why I love sharing all this stuff. But just the idea that we are born worthy was like mind blowing to me when I first learned it. I was like, well, of course we're born worthy. Like, you wouldn't look at like a baby and be like, oh, you're not worthy because you're not producing anything yet. Like, everybody loves a baby. They're like, ooh, baby, blah, 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 and loves it and cuddles on it, and like it doesn't do anything, and you basically wait on it the whole time. And we don't think, well, that baby's not deserving. That baby's not deserving of its, 12 hours of naps and sleep that it has a day, or 18 hours, or however long a baby sleeps. We don't think, oh, they haven't worked hard enough to deserve that nap. We think, of course it needs to have a nap. Its body is growing. That's what it needs. It's doing lots. It needs to sleep. But then when it comes to us, so when it comes to myself, I don't have those same thoughts. I think, well, I should be able to stay up later and wake up earlier and do more things. Like, I shouldn't need to sleep this much. And one of the things I caught myself saying is like, well, I'm not that old yet. I shouldn't need to sleep. Like, what does your age have to do with it? Again, how much did babies sleep? And they're not old. And honestly, when I look at, the older people in my lives, they sleep less because, I don't know, they just can't sleep as much. Whatever. So I'm like, me wanting to sleep doesn't mean I'm old. It just means my body's ready for a rest. And it needs to do whatever processes it needs to do. And it needs more sleep to do those processes. And it's all natural. It's all biological. I don't have to do more to deserve a rest, to deserve to sleep, to deserve to live, to be good enough, to be worthy. I was born worthy. We were all born worthy to live full and beautiful lives, to have as much sleep, and to be as productive or as non-productive as we want to be. And it doesn't have to be called lazy. It doesn't have to have all of these negative connotations with it. Because when I tell myself I'm lazy, so when I have that thought, I'm lazy, I feel like disgust for myself. Like, it's just such icky feelings in my body, and I can feel it like in my chest, and I can feel it like tense in my shoulders and in my throat. And it's that disgust of, oh, you're so lazy, Jackie. Like, look at all these things you could be doing. And this time it's not even the shoulds, it's all the things you could be doing. And you're not doing them because you're lazy. You could be having all of this fun, and you're totally missing out on it. Like, instead of being here in my bedroom, I could be laying out in my hammock. Wouldn't that be way better? What a lazy fuck you are for not doing that. And it's like, oh my God, what is going on, brain? But then just remembering, it's okay. Of course my brain thinks that. Of course it does. And it's totally okay to think that. Because it's normal and it's human, and that's what we've been taught to think. And it's also okay to just have a rest anytime you need one. And sometimes you'll be able to rest more, sometimes you'll be able to rest less, depending on where you're at in life and what you're doing. But right now, my body is in the season of rest. And I'm sleeping more, and I'm doing less, and I'm producing less, and that doesn't make me less valuable as a person. The more rest I have, the more rest I have, it doesn't make me more valuable or less valuable. It just makes me more human. And it's okay to be human. It's okay to be imperfect. It's okay to do whatever the fuck we want to do. And that is what I'm learning to do, is whatever the fuck I want, whatever the fuck my body needs, and to like step forward and be proud of it, to break those fucking chains of what the patriarchy and what capitalism has taught me, that I have to be a good little machine that's producing. And like, they make it sound like it's for the good of society. Like, if I'm not producing, like, I'm letting all of society down. So like, if I was, honestly, the jobs I've done and do, they're not saving lives. So even if you are out there, like, saving lives in your job, like, you're allowed to have a rest sometimes. But when I am not saving jobs, I was an accountant, I was not saving lives. Like, the more I produced, it didn't really make the world a better place. But we're taught that if we're not doing our job and if we're not producing, then we're like being selfish and taking away from society. Like, dude, I was an accountant. Like, me taking a rest and not going to work for a day because I needed a break was like not denying society anything. I was an accountant. Like, what? But the systems have all been like programmed into us to believe that if we take a rest, we're selfish. And that's like the worst thing, especially being socialized as women. That's like the worst thing we can be is selfish. To put ourselves before everybody else. Because I should be out there accounting and, auditing somebody's books because that's how I, give back to the world and make society a better place. What? That doesn't even fucking make sense. But yet, I would feel bad for not doing it. And for like not working as hard as I could because then I was lazy and selfish. Oh, it just all intertwines. So even now, like, I've got to feed my animals, right? Like, I've got a farm. So I'm sure they would love to get fed now. Honestly, if I fed them now, they would love to get fed 2 hours from now because they just love to eat and they constantly want food. But I can also have a rest and they could eat a little bit later. And they're going to be perfectly fine. And I'm going to be perfectly fine. I'm not going to lose any value or worthiness because I fed my animals a little bit later. We're all going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay if we have a rest. If dinner's a little bit later. If the house isn't as clean as it could be. If I'm not the, like, Pinterest perfect, living my life, all done up. Luckily, my hair almost always looks fabulous without even having to do anything. I think that's the awesomeness of having super short hair. And fun colors, because then you don't see all the mess. But, like, I should be dressed, and I should be looking professional, and, like, I should have washed my face and have makeup on, and then, I should be thinner, and I should work out more, and I should have a better breakfast, and all of that stuff. But I don't because I'm lazy. It's like, but that doesn't even make sense together. But that's just what we've been trained to do. We've been trained that lazy means you're unworthy, means you're worthless, and it just brings all of that spiral and that guilt and that not good enoughness. And all of those feelings are what helps, like, the patriarchy and capitalism keep on surviving and all of the other systems of oppression that are in place. Because if they can teach us and continue to keep us in that place where we're not feeling good enough, where we're feeling like we can't step forward, we can't break free, we can't make change, we can't do anything differently, then they have got us. So the people that benefit from these systems benefit from us not feeling good enough. Because when we don't feel good enough, when we're unrested, overworked, overtired, we don't have the kind of full capacity to create change and to fight the systems of oppression. So of course, they're going to tell us we have to be selfless. We have to be humble. We have to put everybody else first so that we stay tired, we stay overworked, we stay feeling bad about ourselves, and then we can't implement the change. And everything stays the same and repeats over and over and over again. Just like every time I tell myself I'm lazy, I feel disgust for myself. I like run around in circles to try not to feel lazy, which just results in me feeling even more lazy because I still haven't actually done the things that I should be doing because I'm just trying to run around and prevent being lazy. But I'm still tired, so I can't really function at my 100% self. So then I just tell myself I'm lazy again and feel disgust and run around trying not to be lazy. But I'm too tired to really do anything. And the cycle just repeats. And on a bigger scale, that cycle just repeats. So that we stay stuck in that circle. And the people that benefit from the oppression win. And they keep making the rules. They keep putting the systems in place so that they succeed, so that they stay at the top, so that they have all the power. and we stay tired and feel unworthy. When really, dude, we can have a rest anytime we want. We deserve a rest just for being alive. And being ourselves. And when we can realize that, when we can realize we don't have to be burnt out and tired, and we don't have to sacrifice ourselves, our worth is exactly the same, no matter what. So I'm going to stop talking in circles now, because I think I've said the same thing over and over a few times, but it really helps me to like process these thoughts and just to see how they work in my life, in my brain, and that's how I work through things. I do this in my journaling practice. I do this here, sharing it with you. I do this with my clients. I let them, I don't talk at them. I give them the space to talk with me, and to really be able to work out where we're getting stuck, where we're feeling stuck, where we're holding ourselves back. And usually where we're holding ourselves back is with all these ingrained kind of cultural and social beliefs that we've been given that we think are just truths. Like, of course my brain thinks it's true that I'm lazy because I've stayed in bed all morning, because that's what I've been taught. So my brain thinks it's true when really that's not true. It's just an opinion, it's just a thought. Like, all these things that we think are facts in our brains, most of them are just thoughts. And the more we can break that down and realize, the easier it is to move forward and create change in our lives and create change in the world. And that ripple effect grows beautifully. So the more I can realize that my brain is telling me and limiting me and just giving me random thoughts that I think are true and not helpful, then the more I share that, the more I grow, the more the next person grows, and they share that and they teach the next person, and it grows and it grows and it grows, and it's so beautiful. And that's how we change the world. We don't change the world by burning ourselves out and telling ourselves we're not good enough. We change the world by realizing we are all worthy and we are all good enough. And when we feel amazing and good enough, we want to share that with other people and help them to realize how amazing and worthy they are. And that ripple out is beautiful. So thank you for joining me today. I hope the sun is shining wherever you are, and I will see you again tomorrow.